A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you into the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. And we're trying to bring the whiteout energy, Goon. Do you have the whiteout energy today? Oh, Saturday. I'm bringing it early. Bringing it early today. Goon back from vacation, and I think we're having still some issues here with the setup for the Deer Goon. Yeah, we're definitely having issues.
I hear nothing now. I can hear you, but not hear me.
No, you are
try a little bit of this magic here.
Yeah, thinking it may be fixed magic.
Could be my head, too.
But we have lots to get into today. Of course, Penn State getting ready for the Big Ten opener as well as the homecoming game. It'll be a 7:30 kickoff on NBC Saturday night as the Nittany Lions take on Illinois. Lots to get into with that game. I think some reasonable concerns for Penn State fans going in. I think some reasonable reasons to believe Penn State could win. And could win handily going in. And we'll see how it all plays out. Certainly we'll be talking about it all week long. And for sure, I think, and all season long, there's we've thought different things, and then I'm not sure if I really believe that. Oh, that's going to be much better. Can already tell. We're good.
Hi.
Hey. Welcome in. Now we have to do it.
Hello, nice to see you. Good to be back.
Welcome back.
Look at my tan, Jess. How about that?
I'm telling you.
I saw 10 hours of sun.
Well, but then you come back here and nothing but sunshine.
What's funny is I have to tell you the story, and that is that my in-laws they live in northwest Pennsylvania, up in the snow belt in Warren County. Yeah, it was 85 and sunny every day there last week. When they left to go to the Outer Banks with my wife and I, their daughter and I, and we did not see the sun but one day. It's just funny how that sort of works, man. But it was just good just to get away, relax. Anytime you can have fresh seafood every meal or in every dinner, it's a good business.
Amen.
You know, had a lot of clams. Scallops. I love scallops. But what I did is you'll find this. You'll appreciate this.
Yeah.
You know, you go to Giant or whatever, and they have, or a Sam's Club, they have those huge fillet loaves for like $95. But you can cut out like 15 fillet steaks out of it. So we went down there and we went and bought a fillet before we left, and we cut it up. We bought down 8 fillet, like good 10-ounce fillets with it. So nothing better than filet and scallops, filet and shrimp, and a little clam appetizer and stuff like that. So it was a good time. I don't need the sun to have a good time, and I don't need to take my clothes off. It's a good time either, Jeff. Yes, very good time. Very relaxing time. It was good. My in-laws, they liked it, but we were going to stay till Friday or Thursday at dinner and then try to drive up about 5-6 hours and then get up to about, Hagerstown, Maryland area maybe, and then to spend the night there, then head in because we had to get back to State College. I had that on my Letterman stuff Friday afternoon. So wake up Thursday morning, it's another gloomy, rainy day, and my in-laws are like, let's just get the hell out of here. There's only so many times, we can't, being able to go outside watching TV, and, we had to get up anyway, so it's all good.
All right. Apologize for ongoing audio issues at the start. We're good now. Everything is finally the way it should be, with the exception of, and we are aware of it on the radio station here on the 98.7 signal, we are having audio dropouts. It's an ongoing issue at the transmitter site. So my recommendation for the time being is go to the stream. 987thefox.com, where you can find the Goon and Ironhead show at YouTube or Facebook, and check us out there. But 987thefox.com has all of our radio station content, and it's uninterrupted there. We are working on it. Not exactly sure when the situation will be rectified, but believe me, I know the frustration, because
it's like you're not frustrated though, Jeff. It's unbelievable.
4 days. So a couple of things going into this Illinois game. First of all, Goon, I dug up a little nugget, a fact that probably will shock you. Do you know that it was 30 years ago that the Nittany Lions went undefeated? The 1994 team. This is the 30th anniversary. Now, what would have been cool is to get all the players together from that team.
Oh my God! Yeah,
and have like a reunion of sorts, and a weekend like this would be the ideal time to have done it for a homecoming game. I don't even know if anybody remembers. I mean, Kerry Collins was on that team. Kajana Carter. I don't know if you, through some of your connections, you know anybody else on that team.
A couple people, they come out with us Friday night. I was telling Rachel, the bartender, she's like, I don't know anybody on that team but you. And I was like, no, that's not true. Remember that drunk guy who was here a month ago? Yep. Remember that drunk guy who was here 2 years ago? Yep. Remember that other drunk guy who was here another 3 years ago? Yep. That was him. And she knows a lot of them.
There we go.
No, but very exciting week. Very, very exciting.
No, and it's very cool that that team, it is unbelievable to me. And I know we keep going through every year. It's like, I can't believe I just had a friend of mine whose daughter turned 16 today. And in my mind, and I haven't seen her, well, it's probably been 7 or 8 years. In my mind, she's still like 6 or 7. And like, I know she's older, but I'm like, you can't be serious. 16. And again, I certainly get it. I mean, I'm aware. Yep, it's been 30 years. But when you sit down and think about that, like that is 30 freaking years ago, Goon.
Yep.
Like that. How does that happen?
Noble's up here this week. He's up there. They have the last few weeks, and he's done coaching. He obviously, he did the show last 2 weeks. He's an empty nester.
I know he is.
Think about that.
Yeah,
Brandon Noble.
Yeah.
You still think he played like 3 years ago at Penn State and played for the Cowboys and the Redskins? Nope. He's actually a married man. Has 3 children, are all in college and in the military right now.
It's incredible.
It's unbelievable.
Yep. Time does fly.
Yep. So I mean, there is a ton of us coming back. By the way, so I did see something, and it was just like the social media scene is pretty rabid. Lately, everybody pushing for the fan called whiteout, which is pretty cool, I guess. But it's also like, are we really? If we always do whiteouts, does it make the whiteout a special thing? That's one way I have to look at it. But with all the guys coming back and stuff like that, it's just so much going on. I mean, it's homecoming.
Yes.
It'll be our reunion type of thing. Holy heck. And I was eating lunch here earlier, and I was like, I'm already tired, and it's Tuesday. I'm like, holy crap, man. I got to get some sleep before this weekend, because I'm not going to sleep much this weekend. I know that. Yeah.
It is just a remarkable that team was obviously one of the very special teams. And truthfully, if Penn State, I heard Chris Buganani and Jim Galani talking on the way in here this afternoon on late lunch, heard 1 to 2 weekday afternoons on Sports Radio, 98.7 Fox. They were talking about the homecoming weekend and when alumni come back, and you're looking around, and again, kind of same thing, just how quickly time passes and how perspectives on how time goes by quickly change over the years. That 94 team also, honestly, Goon, if they were not in the Big Ten, would have won. They would have had a share of the national title. They were talking about it. The Big Ten writers. Well, the Big Ten writers. Well, that is. I wasn't even thinking about that. Yeah, you're right. I wasn't even going that angle. But
I gotcha.
You're right. That would have.
Miami was the at-large
about
team.
That part of it. Yep. So yes, you're right. The Penn State and Nebraska would have played if Penn State hadn't been in the Big Ten.
Yep.
But also,
that was the thing. The Big Ten had not played for a national title since the 60s.
And the writers made sure that Penn State didn't get the title that year. I mean, and I'm talking about the Big Ten writers, and that's what they were talking about. And I mean, it was a big stink at the time locally, and rightfully so. It's like, come on, you can't. There is no way you can understand regional bias. Right? Like you can, because you're seeing the product. Well, this was like the opposite. And I'm sorry, there was nobody that saw that team that year in the Big Ten, with the possible exception of Illinois, who wouldn't have come away saying, my God, Like that is, there's no way there could be a team better than that. Certainly that offense was, again, to me, as good as there's been in college football. I know you, the Joe Burrow-led LSU offense would be up there. There's some other teams that are certainly in the running, but that team, in terms of the balance and in terms of the dominance with what it was able to do, running and passing the ball, again, to me, still the greatest offense we've seen in college football history.
252 passing and 248 rush a game. That's what we average.
Unquestionably,
500 yards
a game. The all-time greats.
That's except for that Kent State team we saw this past weekend.
Well,
which quite easily is the worst football team I've ever seen in Division I.
So we're not going to spend a lot of time going back on that, but I do want to just spend a moment because the thing. Yes, but I come out of that game, and I'm not sure what I was expecting, and I'm not even taught. It wasn't the points or the lack of points early. If you gave me just those statistics, man, Penn State all-time record in first downs, 40, all-time record in total yards, and I'm forgetting the exact number. It was 740 some.
Oh,
748, I think. Whatever it was, I came away from that game not impressed with Penn State, and you look at the statistics and you look at the result. It's like, come on, man! Like, and I'm just telling you, I've never seen a 56-0 win feel less impressive. Doesn't change my outlook for the season. Doesn't change what I think Penn State's capable of doing, any of that.
Agreed.
But coming off of the bye week, which has been an issue consistently, they certainly did not get off to a good start, which has also been a pretty consistent theme this season. And there is, I think, rightfully concern, at least for me, moving forward, including some about Saturday night. The biggest concern to me, and I heard, I think Booch was saying the offensive line, and I have some concerns there. The biggest concern to me is actually the unforced errors that this team continues to commit. The one thing I was really hoping, and we talked about last week leading into the game, is you knew Penn State was going to win it. Again, Kent State is one of the worst teams in Division I FBS football. And so the outcome was never a question. The question was, could Penn State clean up some of the things that had plagued it a bit through the first 2 weeks? And most notably along those lines were the penalties. And the answer, unfortunately, was no, not so much. And now, I guess it's one of those things on the positive side, it's still something that can be corrected. But again, you're 3 weeks in and it hasn't been corrected. And I have no doubt that it's been addressed pretty repeatedly in practice. So at some point, is that just who you are? You're a team that's going to not line up the way you need to line up a few times a game. You're going to kick a ball out of bounds when there's no reason to be kicking the ball out of bounds. You're going to throw an interception and give the other team the ball. Now, the turnovers have not been a problem for Penn State, and I'm willing to allow that was just, that was an aberration. That was a one-time thing. But the unforced errors are a recurring theme now. We are 3 games in, and 3 games we've seen penalties. And again, there are different types of penalties, but to give you some idea, Penn State has 22 penalties through the first 3 games of the year, 3 different opponents. And again, Kent State, among the worst teams in football, those 3 teams combined have 6 penalties in the games against Penn State. Not so much of a problem when you're playing a Bowling Green, although a bit of a problem there. Certainly not against Kent State. Wasn't a big problem against West Virginia. This is an Illinois team that comes in playing very disciplined football. I am just telling you, make a mistake like that or 2 in key situations in this game Saturday night, and it can come back and bite you. And if it doesn't bite you Saturday night at USC, home with Ohio State, somewhere along the way, that stuff, you've just got to get it cleaned up. And again, I know I'm not saying it's not like James Franklin, tuning in here this afternoon. Oh my God, these guys are right. Why didn't we think about this? We should address that. I get it. I have no doubt that they've been addressing it, but again, 3 games in, Goon, it is infuriating. Penalties are part of the game, and you don't want to see a face mask, but yeah, sometimes your hand just slips up. You get a questionable late hit. Can live with that. It's an aggressive, there are different penalties. I'm not saying penalties in and of themselves, man, you can't ever have that. It's football. There are some judgment calls. What you can't have are consistently and with way too much frequency the unforced errors. Again, the lining up improperly. You can't do that. You can't give good opponents free 5, 10, 15-yard opportunities. It will bite you when you're playing disciplined teams. Penn State under James Franklin the program has consistently been a good one when it comes to penalties. They generally, over the years, have done a very good job of it. So again, hopefully they come out, play a clean game here Saturday night, but we are 3 games in and coming off of a bye week where you had 2 weeks where I'm sure it was preached, it was gone over, and it was still not rectified. That is, for me, that is the number one concern actually going into this game and to the remainder of the season are the penalties that are there just because you're not doing what you need to do on a routine basis.
And I'm going to say our lack of ball hawking, fumbles and interceptions has been sort of alarming this year. We haven't really had much. Now, I know we played a very good Bowling Green team who was intent on getting that ball out quick, fast, no sacks, no fumbles, no interceptions type of thing. But West Virginia and, Kent State the other night, again, they were not that great. But the penalties, yes, they will catch up and hurt you eventually if that's the unforced errors and stuff like that, coach is saying he's embarrassed by them, which people are saying that's a joke in this, and he's not kidding around. I mean, that's a thing about, execution and all, and that's what he harps on these guys about that. So, get into a tough game, that becomes a problem in these 3 blowout games or 2.5 blowout games. That is not an issue. But you touched on it a little bit in that the slow start after a bye week is freaking alarming, man.
Yeah,
very, very alarming. I don't like it, and it's like one of those things. We have another bye week, man. Before Wisconsin this year, we better be ready to rock and roll, man.
Yeah, and that's going to be an important one in terms of getting the, the mind right and the momentum right going into Ohio State.
Yep.
That's not a game that you want to be struggling in. Again, it looks like Wisconsin is, at least at this point, it looks like they're down a little bit this year from typical Wisconsin standards anyway.
That's alarming. That's one of the shocks of the Big Ten.
Well, so we're
the other shock
into
is
that.
This Saturday is Illinois being 4-0.
Well,
3-0.
Yeah, and there's a couple things. No, they're 4-0.
Oh, they are 4-0. You're
right. And so there are a couple of things about this Illinois team. And again, I hosted Center County Red Zone this past Friday, so I'm not watching the game. I got home. I had some other things that I was doing at the station, so I'm following it. But I saw the fourth quarter of the game, and there's a couple of things that kind of stand out. One is Altmaier looks like certainly a different quarterback than what Penn State saw last time around.
Agreed.
He looks really poised, in control of that offense, understanding what it is they're trying to do, and just looks in command.
He looks like a Brett Bielema quarterback.
Yep. And that the offensive line looks like a Brett Bielema offensive line, which is to say disciplined, very
big,
good,
tough, strong.
Again, I don't know that they're one of the very best in all of the country, but they are good. I don't know that this team is one of the best in the country, but they are good. They are tough. And they've shown resiliency now in their 2 biggest tests, Kansas and as we talked last week, I'm not exactly sure where Kansas is, and truthfully, I'm not exactly sure where Nebraska is. I think Raiola is a very good quarterback, and I understandably has Nebraska fans excited about what they can do, and I think Nebraska is a program that is trending in the right direction. I think they are a good team, but again, good is a wide swath. Like there's, hey, I'm number 10 in the country good, and there's, I'm like 40 to 45 good. I don't know exactly where in there either Illinois or Nebraska fit. They may be on the higher end of that. They may be on the lower end, and we'll have to see a little bit how the season plays out. But I do think this is the best test Penn State will have had to this point in the season. And I think in particular, the lines, both offensive and defensive lines for Penn State, will get a real good idea for where they're at this stage of the season and what needs to be worked on and what they feel good or confident.
Because you know what he's going to come in saying and doing, bud?
Moving forward. What's that?
The last time he was here, he put at one point, I think he had 8 to 9 offensive linemen in the offensive back in the offensive sets. Remember he did that with Illinois a couple years ago? He's going to come in and do the exact same thing. I had Devon Elish on last night. Devon Thomas, I guess now. But we were talking, and I'm like, he's going to come in here and just try to do that exact same thing, and that's bully the offensive line and the defensive line. That's Brett Bielema of football. That's the way he was when he played. That's the way he has coached in his multiple stints in the Big Ten. Is he's going to have big, tough people who are going to try to just beat you up. I mean, that's what they're going to come out and they're going to say, okay, Penn State, I don't think you're tough. You've never proven to me that you were tough. You're going to have 9 offensive linemen, a quarterback, and then a running back. They're going to have tight ends as tackles as tight ends and fullbacks, and they're just going to try and mash it down their throat the same way they did a couple of years ago.
I suspect that is exactly right.
And I think that I would highly and hopefully and beg that I believe our staff will be ready for that this time, because I don't think they were ready for that the last time.
So that's an interesting way to put it, because I agree with you. I think the staff will be ready for it, and that's great as far as it goes.
Yep.
But what you need are the players ready for it and stepping up and executing. You can put everybody in the box. Hey, let's do match up mano y mano, but then you need to match up mano y mano. And I think it is a legitimate question going into this game, how Penn State fares with that. I do think this is a game where Penn State needs to win the turnover battle and should win the turnover battle. I think on the offensive side, Penn State needs to be able to take advantage of what Drew Aller has done. And Aller's numbers, they're not eye-popping in terms of yardage or anything like that. He's not anywhere near the top 20 in terms of yards per game throwing. But he's been very efficient. Over 70% of his passes are complete. 8 touchdowns, 1 interception. Those are all numbers you want. And again, Penn State doesn't need Drew Aller to be the guy that's going out there and tossing the ball all over the place to win, because of the running game that they have established, at least through the first 3 weeks, albeit those numbers padded a bit with Kent State. So we'll see, again, a lot more about exactly where this team is, and in particular with the line play. Again, I'm not exactly sure where Illinois is in the overall picture. I think they are a good team. I think that but again, there's a wide swath of good out there, and I'm just not exactly sure right now. I've been impressed with them. I was impressed with the win over Kansas. I think in the environment at Nebraska, and I don't know whether that's I'm not sure why you put out that that's a better environment than they're going to see at Penn State. When you have to come in here Saturday night, that seems bizarre to me.
Have you been to Nebraska?
Not not to see a game in person. No, not.
I mean, everybody
not
talks
live.
like it's all that. Like, I mean, how does that atmosphere? They're coming in here on a whiteout.
I mean, it seemed like a great atmosphere.
Whiteout
Friday
atmosphere.
night. Whiteout atmosphere.
Sorry, whiteout
That's
atmosphere.
exactly right.
I'm with you, but it was like historically.
I
You
think
know
it's
what? Maybe it's changed because I remember, and I again, this is my ADD jumping. I'm sorry, but I remember coming back here in 05, and our fans were so rabid because I left here in 95 and they were spoiled. They had 35 years of just like,
no, it is such a different,
tough football, win a lot of football games, be happy, celebrate, yeah. And then you go lose 4 out of 5 seasons, which what they're coming out of right now. And like I had always heard, Nebraska fans are the most polite people in the history of college football. I had a buddy I was in the Indianapolis Colts camp with. He played at Missouri. And he goes, oh, my God, dude. He goes, we played at Colorado, and I was called everything, every name, every whatever in the book.
Yeah.
And then he go to Nebraska, and Nebraska's beating us by 30, he said. And their fans are cheering Missouri on, like, come on, guys, you're better. Let's go. They're coming out at halftime, and the Nebraska fans are cheering them. But that's how spoiled they were.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of what we were. So maybe that, like, big, nice crowd base that was there for the 50 years that they were super successful. And then you get a couple losing years, and now they're a rabid fan base. Like, that's what we had. And I will go to my grave saying that 05 Ohio State game, I have never seen anything like it in my life, and I doubt I ever will with that kind of atmosphere that was rocking in that game.
No,
but I think that's what Nebraska
was literally
going.
shaking that game. Like to the point, like I mean, I was up there, and I mean, I still remember. I'm like this is cool, but
good,
also
right?
like we're not gonna like fall over, right? Like I mean, it was a little uneasy, and I'm not kidding. You could feel the press box was like swaying a little bit,
and that was the students jumping, right?
I don't know what it was.
Didn't they have to do a study?
It was,
They had to do a study in the next few weeks. Like, hey, is this place going to be able to handle this?
It was very exciting, but it was a very uneasy feeling for me.
That would have been nuts, man.
Up there that night, I'm like, this is a really cool atmosphere and really wild, and also we're not going to plummet to our death, right?
Like, this is good, right? I mean, this was built in what, 48? Yeah, we're good, right?
So anyways,
sorry, but that's what I say about Nebraska.
Well,
I mean,
but it was a full stadium night game. I mean, and it was one of the biggest games there in a number of years. To your point, they've been craving, and they felt like, man, this is our opportunity to get back into top 20, really national contention. And to Illinois' credit, regardless of how you compare the atmosphere, I mean, Illinois now has gone on the road in a hostile night environment, and they got the job done and did it after falling behind, right? Like needed to get the last couple of scores to pull out the victory. So I do think that's significant for Illinois to have in its hip pocket coming in here. And I think Altmaier, having the experiences now, including that he has, just comes in here with a little different level of confidence. And I also think, while obviously the 4 interceptions was great for Penn State, right? You have to believe that he is coming in here wanting to prove a point. That was fluky and not who I am. I have to believe there's some part of him. I don't know that he's openly saying it to teammates or even to himself, but like he knows he had that game. And I just think like any quarterback, if you get another shot at a team that kind of owns you, which Penn State did, that you want to step up and, hey, now I'm going to prove to you who I am. And I haven't watched every second of all of their games this year, but I watched a good bit of the Kansas game, watched the fourth quarter of the Nebraska game, and I'm impressed with what Altmaier is doing with his command of that offense this year, and with maybe a little extra chip on his shoulder. Again, I'm not sitting here telling you Penn State should be quaking in its boots, that this is one of the all-time great college football
we better be
teams.
ready.
that's coming in. But yes, I think this is a very motivated team.
Sure.
I think they are experienced in some of the key spots, including quarterback. And I think that's one of the, like, Illinois and Penn State are two of the only teams that have a quarterback in the Big Ten, that have a quarterback back that has,
Been at the same school.
And has a feeling now for what I think
Well,
a good feeling for what they're trying to do. And I realize Aller has a new offensive coordinator, but I think that Aller clearly has a very clear understanding of what his role is and what the offense is trying to do.
No, but I mean, you just got to look at Illinois. You just got to look at the head coach and work your way back from there, because that is exactly what Brett Bielema is.
Yeah.
He's tough as nails. You're not going to beat him up. You want to fight him. That's what he wants. And his guys are just going to take that same perception of him. You think he's afraid to come in here to State College on a Friday night and play, or a Saturday night and play in the whiteout atmosphere?
I think they are genuinely pumped up.
Exactly. There's no
love
doubt.
the opportunity.
I love seeing stories and people, opposing players, talking about the whiteout. I love it.
Yeah.
Like, what an unbelievable atmosphere and stuff like that. And that's a great thing to have in your back pocket as a fan, that your school is held in that regard. But then the players want to play in it. They want to be part of it. And it's freaking great, man. So, I mean, do you think that having all these different whiteouts and stripeouts, does it diminish the actual whiteout if you're doing it 3-4 times a year?
No, because the whiteout's still the whiteout. Like, it's still. I understand, like, that this is kind of a going to be a second whiteout is certainly what it feels like and what's being called for. But it's not like, and it'll be cool if it is a whiteout again. I think having that as a night game, and at the start of the season, I'm not sure there were many that were projecting that this was, I guess always a possibility.
Illinois
but
is the surprise of the Big Ten.
Yeah, I don't think there were a lot of people circling this as, man, this is likely a game that could be a prime time that NBC is going to want, and the whole bit with Illinois 4-0 and with now 2 wins over ranked teams that were ranked at the time. They played them in Kansas and Nebraska. And again, I'm really curious to see this season play out, to see where a few of these teams end up, where they actually are. But along those lines, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, I do want to talk just kind of a few big picture things with college football and what we think we know now through 4 weeks of the college football season. And then in hour number 2, we will delve into the NFL a little bit and touch on some other sports here at Penn State as well. But again, when we come back, we'll talk a little more college football, big picture stuff, and what we think we know of what we're seeing to this point of the season. We are not going to talk about
Come on. They're 3 games away from the record.
We are coming right back with more on a Tuesday afternoon. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going. 98.7 The Fox, the Goon and Ironhead.
We welcome you back in here on this Tuesday afternoon ahead of homecoming Saturday, Penn State and Illinois. Big Ten opener for the Nittany Lions. Of course, the Illini are off to a 1-0 start in conference play with a 31-24 win over Nebraska in Lincoln last Friday night. So also an extra day for Illinois to prepare for this Penn State team. Yeah, go ahead.
A very good Illinois story, or for a Nebraska-Illinois story. And that is that Friday morning, getting ready for everybody to head into town this past weekend. Well, because Brandon Noble did our show Thursday afternoon with me. So we stayed out. We partied a little bit Thursday night. And then Friday, I had to get my tailgate prepared. So we had to go get food, booze, beer, all that stuff. So all this and all that. So then I started this new tradition with Football Letterman's Club. They actually, from 3 to 6 in the afternoon, it's just a place where we can go and hang out. Just the ex-football players can go in and bring some guests and hang out. So me and Brandon were drinking, have a few beers there. And then we came to my normal Friday night party here at the Lube and this and that. So it was about 9:30. We're sitting here. We're like, I had enough. We're done. We got to get up tomorrow morning. We have at 6:30 to get on the road to tailgate. So we go home. But then Friday morning, while I was preparing everything and getting my mind mentally prepared for the game, some guys were doing our hedges outside of our house, and my TV went. Oh! The guy cut the cord. He literally physically severed our cable internet wire. Oh! And we were on the phone with Xfinity all morning, like, hey. We need this on ASAP. And they're like, okay, we'll be there, Monday morning, 8 a.m., between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. We're like, no, you can't do that. We can't do that. And they're like, well, we can't do this. And then I'm calling people, yada, 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 calling there. And they're like, we don't have anybody. We can't get out there until maybe Sunday afternoon. And I'm like, no. I said, I can't go Friday without the Nebraska game. I can't go Saturday without any college football, and then Sunday in the NFL. So I'm going crazy. So talk to my neighbors. I hook into their Wi-Fi. so we can actually just have our Wi-Fi in the house. So then we ended up streaming, and it's just funny. I got home Friday night, and me and Brandon and my wife and some other people, we've been partaking for a while. So we're like, we got to get this game on. We got to get this game on. So we signed up for a free Hulu account because we can watch the Nebraska game, and then we can watch some Saturday afternoon games and then Sunday games. We could stream them that way. Problem solved Friday night. Me and Brandon got about 4 plays in before we both dead passed out sleeping. So we got home, and the whole big thing was, we got to stream this. We got to stream
gotta
this.
be able to
we got to
see it.
stream it. We got to stream it. So my wife's over there. I got to figure this out. She's online trying to figure out what's the best thing to do and how much is free, and how much it's going to be, and when you got to cancel it. And we lasted 4 plays each, and we were both dead asleep by about the 5 plays in. No doubt. And we woke up the next day, and I had to look at the score, and I looked at Brandon, and I said, "Wow." I said, Illinois beat Nebraska last night. He goes, "Oh, did we watch that?" And I said, "No, dude, we were both out cold."
No, we did not.
It was one of those funny things. It's no internet. We're hustling and running around doing everything we possibly can. We're like, figuring, we can just go get a new cable wire. We can hook into this and that, and So we ended up figuring it out. We lasted 5 plays.
All right. So
I had to text my wife this morning. I was like, by the way, we got to cancel the Hulu.
we got to remember to cancel the Hulu, which probably in retrospect.
Hey, it got me through
on.
Saturday afternoon, and then Sunday the guy got there. So they came in Sunday, so I had my NFL. Thank God.
So a couple of things from this past college football weekend, in case you missed it. So Bowling Green gave Texas A&M a very good game, which Texas A&M is ranked, albeit in the bottom of the top 25. And so, again, it's another one of those where I think we know that Texas A&M is not a national title contender, not a playoff team.
Don't ask them.
But I think when it's all said and done, again, they're going to be a solid team, a top 25 type team. So I think there is some solace for Penn State to take in that being a competitive game. And I went and looked at, I just wanted to compare Bazelak's numbers. And again, I don't think Texas A&M has one of the great defenses in the country this year. And it's one of the things I want to talk about because with Penn State, but I'll circle back to that in a moment. Bazelak's numbers were very comparable at the end of the day against Texas A&M as they were against Penn State. Against Penn State, he was 20 of 36 for 250 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And then, those are the numbers against A&M.
Mm-hmm.
20 of 36 against A&M. 20 of 36, 250 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked twice by Texas A&M. Penn State never sacked him. Bazelak against Penn State, Bowling Green's quarterback, was 25 of 39, 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So at the end of the day, again, pretty comparable stats. And so on one hand, I think if you're a Penn State fan, you're like, all right,
yes,
well, Bazelak did that against another ranked opponent. On the other hand, I think it's like, well, okay, there is a definitive drop-off then from Penn State's defense a year ago to what we're seeing this year. Certainly statistically across the board, Penn State has dropped off from what it was through 3 games this year from what it was a year ago when it was one of the top 5 defenses in the country. And you could argue was the best defense in the country, but was one of the top 5 statistically. Right now, it's not the end of the world, but Penn State is ranking in most of the key statistics, somewhere between 20th and 40th. Like, depending on which stat and metric you're looking at, Penn State is somewhere in that neighborhood defensively. And when you go back to the start of the season, I think we talked about it. I know I said on a few different shows and versions of broadcasts that I thought Penn State's defense would take a little step back, almost because it was inevitable. But I thought the improvement on the offensive side would offset that and then some, and it's why I thought Penn State, with the schedule and everything playing out, could get to 11-1 in the upcoming season and definitively be a playoff team. I still think all of that is very much in front, and I think to a large degree that is playing out, again, through 3 games. I think we're going to learn a lot more in the coming weeks, starting with Saturday night against Illinois. I don't think this is going to be an end-all, be-all type of situation where, all right, my gosh, Penn State went out and took care of Illinois. Now we know that the Nittany Lions are a playoff team. Nah, I don't think that's the case. Again, it's a home game, night atmosphere. I think there are some areas where Penn State has or should have a clear advantage over Illinois, and some other areas where I think it's a push. I don't know that there's an area going into this game where I'm expecting or think that Illinois has the clear advantage. I mentioned, I think Illinois has a very good offensive line. I think it's a good defensive line. I think they have an experienced quarterback who's playing very well. I don't go into this game saying, well, yeah, Illinois' offensive line clearly superior to anything Penn State's going to be able to put out there. Or, what they're getting out of their quarterback play, obviously Penn State can't match up. I mean, you have Drew Allen. Penn State's thinking going in, man, we ought to be able to at least hold even in terms of the quarterback play. And I think, again, even with the injuries, with linebacker and in the secondary with Penn State, I still think Penn State, like you match up secondary versus secondary. I like Penn State there. Receiving core versus receiving core, I've been impressed with what Illinois has done. I thought Penn State had a good game spreading the ball around. For me, it is still very much, I know James Franklin went off a little bit in the press conference about he's looking for all of these positive stories about the receiving core after all of the criticism a year ago. I would hold off on demanding that praise just yet. Did they catch the ball Saturday against Kent State?
Yes.
Yeah, but man, you better be able to catch the ball against Kent State. Like, I'm not ready to, okay, man, this receiving core, look out. They've got a bunch of guys. Now, they made the catch. That is important to me. I think through 3 games, Goon, do you remember, other than the one drop by Evans, I don't know that they've had drops. It was funny. I was listening to Steve Jones and Jack Hammond. The one Tyler Warren he got his hand on, but it was a very tough catch. And Steve Jones, if you're listening to the radio broadcast, it's like, oh, and Warren drops it, and then they show the replay. Jack Ham's watching, and Ham's like, you kind of threw Warren under the bus there. Like, that's I would throw that more on Aller. Like, that would have been a really, really tough catch. And then Steve went into kind of having fun with issuing an apology to the Tyler Warren family and all that. It was a fun listen. But in terms of a drop, like, man, that's a catch that you should have. Outside, like, I only remember, I'm not saying there have been more, but I only remember one, what I would call true drop through 3 games. So I do think that's a good sign. Yep. I still, great that Liam Clifford and Julian Fleming got involved against Kent State. I still want to see them be able to do that against an Illinois, on the road against a USC, in a clutch moment against Ohio State. So I'm willing to say, yep, the receivers have done what they should do through 3 games. When they've been called upon, they've responded, but not ready to quite go into the high praise. Man, this is one of the great receiving cores Penn State's ever seen. Incomplete still for me yet. Some good signs.
Yep.
I like, again, what we've seen, but I think we need to see more before we start demanding that praise be heaped across the group as a whole.
Yeah, and then it's pretty funny that pass to Warren, he'd have walked in the end zone right there. And he's already having a spectacular year, and then you add another catch and touchdown to what he was doing, and then the day he had on Saturday. I didn't know, and he did the player show 2 weeks ago after his big game against Bowling Green. I didn't know he came here as a quarterback, so he has that quarterback mentality out there. But he's a big boy out there, and he's very, very. I mean, and even James said he's the most dynamic tight end in the country. He didn't come out and say he's the best tight end in the country, because there might be better and this and that, but it's pretty dynamic out there, and I mean, he's getting pretty damn close to being one of the best tight ends in the country.
I'll tell you,
catching the ball and blocking, and he's mashing people.
Yeah, when you talk about the complete package, and it's hard for me to believe that there are many, if any, better than what he is.
It reminds me of what's going on this weekend. I mean, who played next to me?
Yeah,
I mean, that was a guy. That guy's trouble.
He was not too shabby.
That guy was trouble, man.
Yeah, Kyle Brady goes down as one of the great tight ends, not just in Penn State history. That guy was one of the great tight ends in college football history. When you're talking again about that combination of being able to block, and I mean block,
yes,
and be able to catch the ball, make plays in the passing game.
It's funny because I was telling Landon Tangwell about it, and I was like, it's a tight end. So he's like, I was telling Tyler, I was like, the offensive line likes you, but they don't love you. And the receivers like you, but they don't love you. You're not part of either tribe. So the tight ends are their own little, we don't know what they are, their own little civilization there, because
it is a unique,
and it is you used the word unique, and that is the word that I'm trying to find. And he is very unique because he does do the pass blocking, the run blocking, and can still catch the ball and run routes the way he does. Usually you got a guy who, there's guys in the NFL now who, we don't need to name their names from Penn State, who are great tight ends, but they're great receiving tight ends, or they're a great blocking tight end.
I will say there have not been a lot of great passing tight ends that have come through the Penn State program that we're aware of.
What do you mean? Pass catching?
No, passing. Tyler Warren is adding passing to the resume. I don't remember Kyle Brady, for as good as he was. I don't remember a lot of touchdown passes.
And he's a lefty too, right?
Throughout his career.
Warren's a lefty, right?
I'm going to be curious to see how much they. So part of what has had me excited about the Andy Kotelnicki offense is, and again, we talked about this before the season, and now we're 3 games in, and now is when I think and hope, but I believe we're going to see what this offense really is and what Kotelnicki brings to the table, which is, I think there's a real thought process here to the way they approach everything. And I think a lot of what they do is to set up defenses, like in games. I think they're doing stuff early to get the lay of the land. All right, we saw what the defense did here. We know now this is where we can attack. They, brought an extra man in the box on that 3rd and short. Yeah, we know now we can get Tyler Warren, or we think, we can get Tyler Warren back behind that. Just a lot with the chess game. And I think this Illinois game, I also think they're laying a lot out there through the first 3 games to get it on tape. You now have to prepare for this, but also now you've seen this. We're going to throw this variation off of it. And I think you're going to see some of that. I don't want people to, it's not that you're going to see stuff that has never been seen before in college football. It's just, I think there are layers to this. And I think Kotelnicki brings that understanding of, man, we're setting stuff up to use this. And it's not that there was a lot of discussion on a couple of pregame shows, one on radio and one on TV this week, about whether or not teams don't show stuff through 3 games or through, not 3 games, but through the early part of the schedule because they're saving it. And the general consensus seemed to be that's not really what happens. I mean, here and there, you might be saving something, but it's not like you have an offense that you're going to run, but you're not running it for the first couple of weeks. Like, that's not the way that works.
We're going to work on it all preseason, but we're not going to run it for the first 3 weeks yet.
But I do think especially when you have a veteran quarterback and you have an offensive line that's coming along. And I think the offensive line is coming along. I'm with Booch. There were some things Saturday that, despite the gaudy statistics, it's like, oh, man, I'd like to see that cleaned up a little bit, a little more consistency there. But I think that group is coming along. Again, we'll get a better idea here Saturday night. But with that, again, I think there are just little subtle changes that they'll make either in a blocking scheme here or, let's get Singleton another step outside before he determines, what he wants to do with the ball on a particular run, like that sort of stuff. I still love the versatility of this offense. And certainly Tyler Warren is a guy that you can do a lot of different things with, can line up a lot of different places, including under center now. And I do like that because I like the idea of, hey, direct snap to Warren. Again, not all of the time. And it's interesting. The Prebula interception got people, why Aller's your starting quarterback? I am still a proponent, although I understand the argument now. Yep. Hey, just your starter's your starter. You leave him out there. I like Prebula being in there, and I like using him in different ways, including the pass. Just needs to be a better pass. You need to see the guy there. And I think he'll learn from that experience. He's seen it now. It's okay. We'll make the adjustments. I'm still okay with that. I like getting him in there, and I like getting – I'm okay with if they want to get Tyler Warren a snap a game and you try to figure out, is he going to run it? Is he going to do a little dink pass? Is he going to hand it off? Like, I'm okay with that. You're making people think, adjust, and that split second of indecision, that can be a difference maker when you're trying to hit a big play, especially when you have a guy like Nicholas Singleton who can hit that big play at any point. So I like where this offense is right now, and I think we're going to see this thing really start to unfold to Penn State fans' liking Saturday night.
Yeah, I think that Kotelnicki's realizing and learning what he has. And there's some guys who do great on a practice field who don't succeed on the game field. But there's also people that are known as gamers that he's actually learning this now. Like, okay, this he has a different speed when it comes to Saturday type of thing. And he's going to try and harness all those energies and all those different positions. And you ideally you like to have a different game plan every week because you don't want to have the same game plan going in because then it's the easiest thing to prepare for is what you've done in the past. So I just love his mind, how he has.
I do too.
Just got a lot of things rolling right now, a lot of things out there that Illinois is just sitting there looking at like, okay, a lot of people just the old scenario in college football or even in high school football was like when they go really complicated, we just go base and run our base defense and then go from there. So the chess match of coaching is a beautiful thing.
Well, and I do think it is one of the real challenges now for opposing defenses is, do you try to take away the run game or do you try to, and hey, we're going to make Drew Aller beat us. Do you really want to do that? And, maybe you do. Maybe you say, listen, we're still not sold on that receiving core that Ironhead says has
we say about 94 all the time.
Yep. And
how do you want to get beat?
Yeah. And that's the thing is if I do think now with Drew Aller's understanding of the offense and certainly with the tight end play and at least with what they're getting to this point with Trey and Omari, and again, what we saw here this past Saturday, maybe Liam and Julian as well, that, if they stack up and like we are not letting Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen beat us, I think that's a really risky play. I think it's a smarter play than, hey, we're going to try to take away the passing game because that's the one thing I think Penn State, if you're going to go even up in terms of the box, I think now this team is in position.
Yeah, Illinois will do that. They will come out and they're going to say, you're not going to run the ball on us. That's their head coach's mentality. You're not going to run the ball on us. You're not going to do it. So he's going to try and get pressure with his front four. So A lot of this game depends on the offensive line passing for Aller, protecting for Aller, and him completing plays, making plays.
Couple of other things, just big picture of college football, because again, I thought the Bowling Green acquittal, if you will, against Texas A&M was pretty good. From a Penn State fan's perspective. It's like, okay, I mean, it would have been bad for Penn State, right, if Texas A&M went out and won a 45-7 game over Bowling Green. Like that. So the fact that was a competitive game, Bazelak looked like he did it against us. Again, I don't necessarily know that you breathe a huge sigh of relief and say, all right, man, Penn State is perfectly fine, because, again, that's a Texas A&M team that is not looking anyway at this point like it's going to be in contention for a playoff spot, or certainly for a national title. So but again, I think it's a good team, another Power 5 or Power 4 team. I don't know where we're at with that anymore, but I think that there was some good to be taken away. I watched the Colorado Baylor game. I was kind of flipping back and forth, and I am intrigued by, and listen, hats off, Colorado won it, and you ought to feel good. I don't care who you're playing. You pull out a victory like that, you ought to be celebrating and feel good. I have no problem with that. Yep. But it was Baylor. And this year's Baylor team, like, again, I don't think this is a team that is, I don't think this is going to be a ranked team at the end of the year. So that good win, no question about it. No problem with the celebrating and feeling good in the moment. But does anybody think that game is an indication that Colorado is anywhere within sniffing distance of not only the playoffs, but just of being like a top 20 program? Because I don't. The fact that you're having to pull out the last second heroics, near miracle win to beat Baylor, it's like, I think that's more an indication that, yeah, you've got a long way to go to get into with the big boys of college football.
And I think that they did the same thing last year. I believe it was Arizona State. They went to like 4 overtimes. And I remember Shedeur Sanders was doing the watch thing, and he was like up in Arizona State's crowds trying to antagonize them. And you're like, you were a 24-point favorite. Who took you to 4 overtimes. Let's not celebrate that. Let's just be happy we got out of there with a W.
Yes, I'm.
And everybody wants to celebrate a win. I get it. I understand it. But, geez.
Couple of other things. So, Michigan beats USC.
That was unbelievable.
Now you're like, well, okay, how good really is USC? And also, how bad really is Michigan? Is Texas just that doggone good? Again, I think Michigan is better. And I thought even in the moment, like Texas just I do think Texas is one of the top programs. I think we know that. We'll see how the season plays out. They're going to have to prove it, but I do think Michigan is better than what that Texas game would lead you to believe. And I do think there was a lot of pride in that Michigan locker room in preparation for that USC game, and I think they wanted
a lot of the Big Ten pride.
Yes,
and I
sure
think that USC
knew this is different.
Woke up on Sunday and said, "Oh crap, man! What did we get into?" Because this is going to be every week. We are going to be in a dogfight every week, and that's what that was.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is that Michigan out-toughed them.
Yeah.
I mean, to give up a 70-yard run that late in the game when you know that they cannot pass the ball. They had 32 yards passing.
Yeah.
And you let that guy run the ball down your throat with 4 guys missing tackles. I mean, that's just you were either they said ouch and they were done. They didn't want to hit that kid no more. They didn't want to tackle him anymore. And Michigan made them say ouch and said, I quit. Because that's what the only reason that happened was because it was not going to be the passing game. Now this week, who plays Michigan this week? Do we know?
I was just looking.
Is it Indiana?
Well, in Indiana is
the surprise of the Big Ten being where they're at right now. So, but
although Kurt Signetti said that's they were coming.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And then, Michigan is Michigan. They're always going to be Michigan. They're a proud
give them
program.
credit for backing it up.
So I got to give them, Michigan did that. They went out against USC. And USC should be ashamed of not winning that game. First of all, to have only 32 yards passing at you and you lose a football game, which is great because offensive line play as an offensive lineman, I'm in heaven right now. Trust me, I find it the greatest thing of all time, and that what I witnessed the other day, and honestly, who were you rooting for?
I really, it is one of those. It was like watching the Ravens and the Cowboys. Like I'm not really rooting for either.
Well,
team.
I mean, are we considered old head Big Tens now? Because now we're like, well, we can't have USC, UCLA, Oregon, and with Washington come in here and dominate this, like how they used to talk about us in the 93 and 94 season.
So, I just can't really root for Michigan or Ohio State ever. But also, to me, you wanted USC. The more hype and the more cred, I guess, that USC has when Penn State goes out there. So, I mean, I think that the better outcome for sure for Penn State would have been USC winning. Yeah. I was okay at the end of the day that Michigan won it. I can never, again, Michigan and Ohio State, anytime they lose to anybody, I'm okay with it, even in scenarios where I realize it's going to hurt Penn State in terms of
that did hurt a little bit with the overall in this season because we don't face Michigan.
Michigan is home with Minnesota this Saturday, so and that's a Minnesota program that's reeling a good bit at this moment. This is not a great way. I'm just looking over the overall schedule. I mean, maybe a game will sneak up and surprise you here, but I mean, Penn State, Illinois, to me, is clearly the game of the week in the conference here. Listen to this schedule. It is Minnesota at Michigan, and again, I think Michigan at home will win that handily, although you do have to worry. Maybe there's a little bit of a hangover after the USC win in Minnesota. It's kind of where Michigan was.
They need to get their passing on. They need to get their passing attack.
Well, the quarterback play is still
that is a huge thing.
Indiana is home with Maryland. That is an intriguing game. I mean, you would think, based on what we've seen to this point in the season, Indiana should win that. I'll bet that ends up being a down-to-the-wire game, though, between those two. We'll see. Nebraska's at Purdue. Again, Purdue has been awful. Could they try to conjure up something at home? But I think Nebraska's going to want to come out and prove a little something after the Illinois loss. So, I don't know. Wisconsin's at USC. Again, Wisconsin just has not what I think we think is that Michigan, Indiana, Nebraska, and USC will all win those games. We'll see how that plays out. Ohio State's at Michigan State. I think Michigan State's a little better, but that's going to be ugly, I think, on Saturday night. And then Oregon's at UCLA. UCLA certainly gave a better representation of itself this past week, but
how about USC and UCLA both playing LSU?
Yeah.
Weird, right?
That's it is. You're listening to WFXS, Pleasant Gap State College. We appreciate you doing so. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on a
pleasant.
Yeah, not too bad. Tuesday afternoon, temperature-wise, comfortable. It has been cloudy all day, a little bit of drizzle here and there in the Valley of Happiness. By the way, it is looking promising. Chance of some rain, but it's looking right now like it may stay south of us, which would be very welcome news on Saturday. And by the way, for the homecoming parade on Friday night, homecoming week, by the way, for both the State College high school team and for Penn State here this weekend. So we'll take a break here. When we come back, we will talk some NFL, both the Steelers and the Eagles, feeling pretty good about the past weekend's results. And we'll look ahead a little bit and go over some things that we think we know there. Regarding the National Football League. Again, we are at Quaker Steak and Lube. It is our favorite place to be on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. We come on down and do our show here. It is a great place for you to come down, check out our show, but also to watch any of the football action throughout the week, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday night. Quaker Steak and Lube has TVs all over the place, so you can check out the action. Great food, great beverages, and truly stellar service. Also on Tuesdays, they have the all-you-can-eat wing buffet from 4 o'clock on. And that means in less than an hour from now, about 50 minutes from now, they will be getting underway with that wing buffet. You can come on down and enjoy that to your heart's content. Again, we're coming back with more of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube in Mere Mills.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning Lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox. The Goon and Ironhead.
And we welcome you back in here on this Tuesday afternoon ahead of the homecoming game for Penn State against Illinois, a night game that has not happened often. Night game for homecoming, and it is the Big Ten opener, and we're asking for a whiteout atmosphere
Energy.
at Beaver Stadium on Saturday night. Yes, whiteout energy, and so the fans will respond accordingly.
You know I'm a fan of Bielema as a fellow fat mutant. So yeah, he was like, I played there when it's COVID. I played there at night overtime game, and I played. What the hell's a whiteout? It was just a straight meathead. It's so funny.
Yeah.
But he has done very well against Penn State.
Oh no! I mean, but he has not been in here with what
No.
the atmosphere is going to be.
Oh, no,
like,
no, he's not. Yeah, he's
on Saturday night, and that's why I don't know. I just think anytime. Now, listen, the fact that they have an experienced quarterback, and I think this is a pretty poised team. Like it'll be interesting to see. I'll say that. Like I'm not sure I'd put it out there ahead of time, but I do think internally there would be a lot of reason for Illinois to believe it is going to handle the whiteout component
after last week.
Whatever facsimile of the whiteout there is, that they can handle that on Saturday night. I think there are some tough matchups though for Illinois. Well, I do think this is a good team.
17.5-point line.
Yeah,
don't you think that's extraordinarily high?
I did. It was funny that you say that, because I was over at my folks' house the other night, and I hadn't seen the line, and we were just they were asking, what do you think? And I'm like, well, I think they'll end up winning by like 10-14. I said, I'm guessing the line's probably right around 10, maybe 9.5. And I'm like, while I'm at it, let me look it up. And
whoa.
I'm like, whoa, 17.5. Like that seems like a very big line. Now, before the season started,
yes,
that's about where I would have said,
Good point.
somewhere 18, 19, maybe even probably would be the line with Illinois coming in. But so I think the fact that Penn State played the way it did against Bowling Green, and now you have an Illinois team that has, wins over two teams that were ranked at the time they played them, including a night game atmosphere and all that came with it with Nebraska, has people's attention. But I still do think that at the end of the day, this is a Penn State team that just has a lot more talent on it. And over the course of 4 quarters, you would think that talent is going to prevail. And again, we'll talk more.
I think that's what it is. I think that my opinion of the 17 is that we're coming off of a laugher that our guys, maybe the starters played a quarter and a half, 2 quarters off of a bye week where they're coming in after some dog fights, but they have an extra day of recuperation. They do, but they have a day of travel. And I think that we're as fresh as we're going to be all year right now. That's just how I feel. And I think that that's where the line may come from. There's no other way I can explain it other than that Vegas just thinks that they just cannot compete with us, because that's a huge number for a 2 top 20 ranked teams.
Yeah. And for an undefeated team that again has two wins over teams that again, at least at the time they played, were ranked, and that's
somebody said it might be a sucker bet, and that is that when Vegas will put that out there for everybody and their mother to say, because that's like anybody who does a survivor pool. If you ever think about this, wherever 90% of the money is going to go, it's always weird how something happens or something like that. Where people are talking how big this line is. Now everybody's like, well, I'm going to take Illinois with the points, because they would call that a sucker's line, because they want you to take Illinois because they know that Penn State's going to whoop their butt. Hopefully that's the case.
Well, and listen,
we shall see.
So I can certainly see the scenario where Penn State does exactly that. I do think, Trey Wallace is a very tough matchup for Illinois. I think Drew Aller in this offense has the ability to go out there and light it up against an Illinois defense that has been okay. I mean, it's not the defense that has been like, if you're looking for the reason why Illinois is 4-0, I would start with the offensive line, closely followed by the quarterback play, and then the defense has come up with some plays here and there when needed. But I mean, this is not a defensive powerhouse that is coming in, and I do think Penn State has the ability to be a team that can go out and light it up against just about anybody. And
Yeah,
especially
we have that power, the firepower to do that.
Well,
Yeah.
and especially if Julian Fleming and Liam
Clifford.
Clifford in particular, or at least as somebody else. But I think right now you're looking at those two. If they can complement your top two receivers and now what you have going with the running game and the tight end, then yeah, I think everything is there. And one of the things that I think Penn State really has going for it offensively is the variety of ways it can beat you. And, you kind of half joking about the Tyler Warren being a 3-tool or 4-tool tight end now with what he can give you with the passing game. But listen, you can put him back there, and it is not automatic that, this guy's going to run. Like, he could hand it off. He could throw it. Like, there's a lot of things you can set up off of it. And again, at least make defenses hesitate that second and try to figure out, all right, what is happening here, or what is going to happen. And it's not just him. You can do it when you put Prabula in there. You can do it with direct snap to Singleton or to Katron Allen. And then, again, you have running backs that can catch the ball. You have receivers that can run the ball. There's just a lot of different things that Penn State can scheme and throw at you as trick plays. But I think it's also an offense that it doesn't need to trick you up, doesn't need to rely on misdirection or fooling defenses to be effective. And so we'll see how this plays out. But I think it's certainly not inconceivable that Penn State could go out and put 40+ on the board against Illinois. And I think with this Penn State defense, even as good as I think Illinois' offense is, and I think it's good, I don't think it's great. I don't think they have, just playmakers all over the place. I think it's a good offense. I think it's a solid group. But I think Penn State's defense has the ability to go out there and be very good. And so,
I would love for us to go out and just dominate on defense.
Yeah, but if you can put 40 points on the board, right, then you can give up 17, 24, and you're going to cover that spread to go back to it. So I do think that's very much in the realm of possibility. All right, I do want to switch over and
when we're talking about Big Ten, Rutgers is playing Friday night versus Washington.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
That's all good.
Yep.
So I'm going through this schedule, and we have talked about how favorable a schedule this is. So look at how this is working out.
Yep.
They are 3-0 right now. They have Washington at home, Nebraska on the road, Wisconsin at home, UCLA at home, USC at USC, Minnesota at Rutgers, Rutgers at Maryland, and Illinois at Rutgers, Rutgers at Sparty.
And Rutgers is going to be a
unbelievable 12-0. That's
Rutgers game carries on the road. That is going to be a tough matchup for USC because of the way their style of play and what they want to do from a physical standpoint, but also from a time of possession standpoint.
Yep.
Excuse me. And if they can get that running game going,
yes,
and it's a big if, but if they can get that running game going, I do think that is a game
they need to trip up a couple times, or otherwise they're going to run the table.
Yeah, Rutgers could end up being.
And by the way, you mentioned the USC game. Do you know the story on that? That is the big game is October 12th. So we're at USC, right? And the USC is at Oregon. That's that huge football day, October 12th. The next week, Rutgers plays at USC. And the funny part about that is it's 11 o'clock Eastern time.
Yeah.
PM. They're playing USC at 8 o'clock at night on a Friday night.
Out there.
So in essence, it's going to be 11 o'clock for Rutgers football players.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to, I know we talked about it in the preseason. The two teams that had super, super favorable schedules were Virginia Tech and Rutgers. Lo and behold, they played each other, and Virginia Tech lost to Rutgers. So, but Rutgers they can definitely that's a runnable schedule right there.
It is going to be. They are definitely worth following.
They missed Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, and Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's just Schiano. He put it all in and said, "This is our
Big
year."
Ten.
Man.
Listen, the Big Ten has always taken care of the big three: Michigan, Ohio State, and Rutgers. That's just
you are so right about that, Ironhead. My
all
Lord.
right. I do want to get into some NFL talk here. My beloved Steelers. I'm obviously loving it. They are off to a 3-0 start. I thought they might have a real problem keeping the above 500 streak going here for Mike Tomlin. And this is where Steelers fans and me in particular always get in trouble, because as soon as you start projecting wins, that is when they stub their toes. So I certainly recognize and will not be at all surprised if they go out and stub their toe here in Indianapolis this week. But
I gotta swallow some pride when you're done. Go ahead.
That being said, looking at the schedule, and you can't help it as a fan, you're allowed to do this. You look ahead, and it's like, well, this should be a win. Now, you look at this past NFL weekend. I mean, the Carolina Panthers. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me?
Baltimore just decapitating the Cowboys.
The one thing I thought I knew was that the Bengals, with their backs against the wall, were going to come out and
crazy, right?
And I tell you, Jaden Daniels is looking every bit like. I'm not sure which LSU quarterback you necessarily. And it was a team win. I mean, I'm not sitting here telling you that Daniels is better than Burrows when both are completely on top. But I'll tell you what, he looks awfully darn good and really, really composed and in control right now of what it is that they're doing. He is looking fantastic. But the Steelers, so that they're at the Colts this week. And so this is the other thing I want to get into with Pittsburgh a little bit. So first of all, Justin Fields is looking better and better as each week goes along here, as is the Steelers offense. Now, not ready to put them up there as one of the great offenses, but I'm watching the Kansas City Chiefs, and they are one of the great offenses, and they're not looking like one of the great offenses here to this point in the season. And again,
while you're looking at
it is early in the year, and I think Booch and I talked a little bit about this last week, where we're going to get to week 16 and 17 and look back, and it's like, why did anybody really care about that team's 3-0 start or that team's 0-3 start or what have you? Like, the season will play out the way the season is going to play out. But right now we're sitting here in the moment. This is all we have to look at. And, we're looking at what we
only 7 teams have historically made the playoffs starting 0-3.
Yeah. And listen, do I think the Bengals could become the next?
Yes.
Absolutely. But I saw now where they're saying that the offensive tackle Brown looks like maybe out for the season. Like, it's going to be remarkable if they do. I do not rule them out. I will not rule Joe Burrow, and I still think that's a very talented roster. But yeah, 0-3 is tough to come back from, and there's some things that are happening, I think, as you watch that team play, that it's like, again, I don't rule out the possibility, but they have got to get some things figured out, especially on the defensive side of the football, if they are to climb their way back into it. And listen, one of the things that's going to be difficult is if the Steelers, and listen, so Steelers defense is what we thought it would be, at least through 3 weeks.
That's where my crow comes in.
Truthfully, the offense is about what we thought it would be through 3 weeks. But the two things with Justin Fields, like, he did have his first turnover on the volleyball interception on Sunday, but you'll certainly take that. One interception through 3 games. The decision-making by Fields has been phenomenal through 3 games. And again, this team, and the offense is getting better. Again, it's not looking like an offensive juggernaut, but it is making progress. It is looking better each week. If that continues, right, and you keep showing a little bit more improvement. You go from 0 touchdowns to 1 touchdown to 2 touchdowns. Maybe they get 3 on the board against the Colts. This thing feels like that's heading in the right direction offensively with Fields in control. And I think Fields has a good feel here for what it is he can bring to the table and how he can manage this offense with his game. Like, that just feels like it's going in the right direction. Boswell has been phenomenal. And that defense, yes, it is a difference maker and can create turnovers and can cause all kinds of havoc, especially in key moments. And they keep doing it. Did it throughout last season, and especially when TJ Watt is healthy and on the field. That is a really dynamic
That's my
defense.
I got to get you've been touting this defense for 2 years. I was thinking, nah, they're not as good as you think they are. They really not. I think it was your hometown vision going through black and gold. And he had a sack on Sunday. I mean, he went around that offensive, the Joe Alt, the first-round pick of the Chargers, and he went around him. And that guy is 6'9" with 45-inch arms.
Yeah.
Like, I know he got a great jump on the ball, and Alt didn't, but my God, did he explode off of that ball. And I was, for his 99th and a half sack, by the way.
Yep.
Do we have an idea how many his brother had?
He's closing in on it. I think
so
he's
JJ
now
had more. He's catching up to him.
I believe that's right. I want to say like 112, or like he's closing
the most sacks between brothers. I mean, I know the Leroy Selman, and there was like 13 Selman brothers in the Buccaneers, but I'm trying to think of any other brother or the Bosa brothers.
Yeah,
but they're a couple of years behind the Watts. But man.
So
I'm just saying
the Steelers
are impressive defense.
Off to a 3-0 start. Even better news for Pittsburgh is that both the Ravens and the Browns are 1-2, and now the Bengals are sitting there at 0-3. So you're just 3 weeks into the season. Again, a lot can happen, but having a 2-week cushion for a team that, again, I thought there was a reasonable chance that this team would start out 0-3 or 1-2 itself. The fact that they are undefeated and that everybody else has stumbled out of the gates is certainly promising. And again, we should never, ever do this as a Steelers fan, but I'm going to get ahead of myself a little bit, because the other part of this is 4 of the first 6 games are on the road. There is a chance to get
the kibosh on the Steelers, buddy.
6-0, because they'll be at Indianapolis. That is a winnable game. They're home with the Cowboys. Certainly, right now, that is a very winnable game. And then you're at the Raiders, who just inexplicably lost to the Panthers and
blown out.
So now, again, I am not putting any of those automatically in the win column, but those, again, you would certainly look at and say, yeah, the Steelers at least have a chance in all 3 of those games. And if Pittsburgh goes out and plays anything like it has through the first 3 weeks, worst case scenario, they should be 5-1 coming out of the week 6 here.
This is great.
And if that team does get to 6-0, here is the thing, Goon, and there's no question that the schedule gets tougher as the season goes along for Pittsburgh. But if they get to 6-0, capital I, capital F, but again, it's at the Colts. Indianapolis has been struggling. And, a young quarterback who the Steelers have been able to get after here in the early start of the season, these inexperienced quarterbacks. A Cowboys team, Goon, that
disarray.
You tell me what is going on with that defense.
Complete
I mean,
disarray.
it is an absolute disaster right now, defensively. Now with the Steelers' luck, they'll get it figured out this week, and then they'll come into Pittsburgh. So again, none of this is taken for granted. Then they go out to Las Vegas. Make sure you understand, Steelers players, that is a business trip. That's always my one concern. Does anybody get or you got a couple of guys go out the night before, hey, we're in Vegas. But if, I mean, really, that lines up to get to a 6-0 start. Even if you go 5-6 the rest of the way, then you can have a sub 500 record the rest of the way. You're in the playoffs. Like 11 wins gets you in the playoffs, no doubt about it. 10 wins probably gets you in this year. But so for Pittsburgh, it really is about, one game at a time. Keep improving. Again, if Justin Fields keeps, and that offense keeps making little improvements week to week, by the time you get through this 6-game stretch to start the season, again, if you can get to 6-0, first of all, the confidence that comes with it, and I'm a big believer in confidence can be the difference when you get in some of these tight games. And again, the way the division is playing out, I still think it is one of the best divisions in football, but right now, 2-1-2 teams and an 0-3 squad. Like, if you can get to 6-0, you're going to have, in all likelihood, at least a 3-game lead over the field. I have to look at it. I haven't gone through all of the schedules yet for the Browns, Ravens, and Bengals. But given that, again, 1-2, 1-2, and 0-3, certainly possible that they all lose twice, at least once more in the next 3 weeks. Well, if they do, again, now you're talking about a 3-game cushion. And the Steelers, all of the divisional games come out later in the season. And the one thing Mike Tomlin has, well, not the one thing, one of the things Mike Tomlin has done consistently well, even in the years where they have struggled, relatively speaking, they hold their own in the division. Like, it is rare that any of those teams take 2 from Pittsburgh. And
that's
so
what every conference is. I mean,
well, yes.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not saying that's
they're
like
going to split with the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Redskins or Commanders, whatever. That's usually how it works in the interdivision conference play and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, that's the 6 games right there. You have 6 games against those 3 teams left. Cleveland, I don't know what in the hell's going on. I mean, obviously my wife is a fan, so I watch their teams and I watch them. So
Deshaun Watson was not the reason they lost this past week, but I'm sorry. Having that guy as your leader is
unbelievable. It's like he doesn't care.
Yeah, it is not.
Do you notice that? I mean, am I reading that wrong? So I know that they won last week because I watched it with my father-in-law, and I told him, I said, "What is your record with me watching the Browns with you?" Because I honest to God, I think you
need to watch more often if that's the.
And then
the
he's
case.
Always telling me. So then this past week, it just like it was a 4th down play, and he scrambled. And if he really, really, really like took off and hustled, and like he could have gotten the first down, and it was just like he just went down with the first hit, and it was like he made no effort to get to that first down marker. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Well, so I do want to turn and talk to the. And by the way, one of the games I'm most excited to watch going in is the Sunday night matchup this week is the Bills and the Ravens. And unlike the Ravens-Cowboys game where I was really torn, and ultimately, I mean, I'm rooting for the Cowboys because, again, it puts a little separation between the beloved Steelers and the Ravens. No such quandary in this one. Bills are my second favorite team in the NFL, and so I'll be rooting for them to go into Baltimore and stick it to them. Yeah, that's the Sunday night game this week. And the Bills are 3-0 and looked great, although Jacksonville just looked absolutely lost.
Something's going on down there.
Yeah, it was weird watching
Peters
that game.
Has lost those guys. I don't know what's going on. They were like no effort, nothing out there.
Yeah,
nothing.
47-10. If you didn't see that, the Bills took care of the Jaguars.
With that said,
but
Buffalo looks that good right now.
They do, and they have the running game going. And this is one of the things. So I think the Steelers, they still want to get their running game going more. You're seeing more teams, though, and the Bills are the prime example. They're actually running the ball more often than they're passing it, and that's with Josh Allen as your quarterback. They're still like, you talk about a team that is committed to the run and has established it here in the early going. So, again, that would be huge. Like, it is possible. And really, if the games play out the way I think they should, like the Steelers could have a 3-game lead in the division after just 4 weeks of the season here. But I want to turn to the Eagles because talking with Booch last week, he was like, yeah, I want them to win, obviously, but I'm talking as Booch, it's more important how they play. Like, they need to come out and get some sort of an identity on defense. Like, that was not a good scenario the way it played out. And they certainly came out and played some defense against the Saints. Again, the Saints were averaging 45.5 points a game through the first 2 weeks. They scored 12 against the Eagles. And the thing I want to focus on, though, we talk about this commitment to the run.
Yep. We
were saying all preseason, man, how excited are you to see Saquon Barkley behind an actual big-time offensive line? Can you imagine what he can do? And it's like, and I was thinking in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, I hope we're not overhyping that because I'm with you. I think he could be like the league's leading rusher. He could be a big-time scoring force, but like, is he actually going to do it? And we're 3 weeks in. Again, I'm not sitting here proclaiming that he is the rushing champion for the season, but yep, he's the leading rusher in the National Football League right now. 147 yards in Sunday's game, and scored 14 of the 15 points that the Eagles put on the board. 2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion, his second 2-point conversion, by the way, of the year. And yes, so he is, in fact, the leading rusher in the NFL. Again, not ready to proclaim definitively that this is, but man, 3 weeks in, this is looking the way we thought it should for Saquon Barkley if you put him behind an offensive line.
Did you watch the opening game?
Yes. Well,
the first play of the game versus
the Packers.
He took a pitch to the left, and I was like, oh my God, it's all I've been waiting for. Him behind the fullback with an offensive line. And he slipped, and I was like, God.
There
it is. It's over. It's done. Yeah.
Yes.
But ever since then, I've been so happy to see it.
So he is the leading rusher. He is also second in the NFL in points scored right now. 34 points the first 3 weeks.
Do you know?
Brandon Aubrey with 35 because the Cowboys can't get it in the end zone.
Unbelievable.
So, but 35 for Aubrey, 34 for Barkley, and then Chris Boswell is sitting there at third with 33 points
for you.
But so Barkley is having the impact we thought, and as Penn State fans, we were hoping he would have. It is, again, through 3 weeks, looking exactly like we thought it might. And it does have to be dropped pass notwithstanding. It has to be gratifying for Saquon Barkley to get this. And I'm knocking on wood here. Just please stay healthy and let this thing unfold the way it should for him and for the Eagles. And then
the Lane Johnson thing scared me, though.
Yeah, and then
he's had issues with his head in the past. He's like a Sidney Crosby thing, in my opinion.
Well, I'll tell you, the Tua situation. Yeah. Let's hold off on that. We're going to take our final break here until the end of the show. We'll wrap up with a final break. But, we'll talk a little Tua and some other Penn State sports here real quickly, as well as we continue with our Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here at Quaker Steak and Lube. We are coming right back.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing and State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
WFXX, once again, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America. 98.7, the Fox State College. The Goon and Ironhead.
We welcome you back in here for one final segment on a Tuesday afternoon. The Pennsylvania Sports Network, Jed Donahue, rolling your way here from 4 to 6 after our show. And, of course, this weekend we'll have Center County Red Zone coming up on Friday night from 7 to 10. And we will also have lots of football coverage Thursday nights, all day Sunday, and next Monday night. Again, the Steelers will be at Indianapolis. The Philadelphia Eagles. Who do they have? I just had it. Oh, that's that, right, at Tampa.
That's the
Tampa
revenge game for the playoff loss last year.
Yeah, and Tampa coming off a not very impressive victory.
They can't let good enough be long. They can't let it, like, it's something.
Yeah. Penn State women's volleyball dropped one spot to number 4 in the coaches' rankings this week after the loss to Pitt last week, but bounced back with a couple of wins at the Penn State Invitational. They'll have a big one at Purdue tomorrow night, and that will be on the Big Ten Network. And the Penn State women's soccer team so they are going without the goalie that will be there. The goalie right now is in international competition. So I do think they are good right now. I think they are going to be like national title contenders when this thing is all said and done. But we'll keep an eye on them. Men's soccer has a game tonight on the road against St. John's. An important game, I think, just from a momentum standpoint now. Penn State is 3-5. Did get their first win in the Big Ten, so 1-2 in the conference, but it just feels like a game that they kind of need to push things moving forward. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Penn State field hockey because Sophia Gladio is, scored a goal in the Olympics. Yep, for Team USA. but had both goals in this last victory, one in the fourth to tie it, and then got the game winner in overtime. And that field hockey team was 0-3, now sitting at 4-3. And it just keep an eye on the way that thing is going to develop as the season moves along here as well, because I think they're going to be a lot of fun and a team that is going to make some noise here in the Big Ten as this thing continues to unfold.
Absolutely. I love the field hockey team. That's a tough sport. And,
it is.
I do have to go. I got to go goon memory one time for you.
Yep.
And you'll find it hilarious. Because you said, we got to do we have a home women's or men's game Friday night? Do you know?
Soccer? Yes, they have.
Okay, so it's actually the running story of our 94 team.
Yeah.
It's just really funny because remember the World Cup was in USA in the summer of 94. And Ireland got into like the Elite 8, Sweet 16 or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I remember the South American commentator who would go, "Go!"
Yes.
Remember that? He would scream it for like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So, the night before games that Joe would send us out the top trees. So he would just get us away from everything and bring us to the top trees and get out there, get your mind on the game, start thinking about the game. So every Friday night there'd be a home soccer game. So I would open up the window, and this was so funny because you remember, like, you think that the defensive guys are the wildcats and the crazy people and this and that. So we're on two buses. We're on the offensive bus and we're on the defensive bus. So there's no coaches on the offensive bus. It's just the players getting on there. But the defense has Buddy Sarah. And Buddy Sarah was he was he had his game face on like Tuesday night, ready for Saturday. So he sits on the bus in the front seat, and the defense is driving out there to top trees, and they don't say a word. He just, shut your mouth, get your mind on the game, shut your mouth, and everybody's just like, no one talks. Fast forward, we're in the offensive bus up ahead. It looked like the scene of 16 Candles when the bus was like driving down the street, and they had cheerleaders, and they had the band in there, and people yelling and screaming. We're like it was just complete mayhem. So every week we'd go drive by the soccer field, and I'd open up the window, and I'd like, and I just absolutely screaming as loud as I can as the bus drives by, and we did it every weekend. So again, I'm on this text chain with like 30 guys right now. Guys are coming in this week, and everybody's like, should we go to the soccer game and have Goon do the goal chant and stuff like that? And then me and Noble were talking of how funny the difference was in the offense and defensive bus, because usually offenses is real cool, calm, and collected, and the defense is a bunch of wildcats, and complete opposite that year or those years on those buses the night before the game.
That is funny.
I would love to talk to somebody and be like, dude, we used to hear that. Oh! As the bus drives by. Pretty funny stuff. And we get to top trees, and we'd be sitting there laughing. And again, I know I will probably talk about more about 94 when we, on Thursday, but just a fun team, man. Just fun. Because we were just the swagger is what I say. We just knew what we were going to do to people. So it was just like, all right, well, we're just going to go out and destroy you. So we're going to have fun doing it. So we're going to have fun before, during, and after doing it. So,
well, and that is like Penn State was a dominant team that year, especially offensively.
Yes.
And
that was just so different, though. Like, when we never had an offense. Rarely had an offense like that.
Nothing like that. That is for sure. And even if they had the thing that was fun about that is that they let that offense play fun football. Like, it was an offense that went out and was able to do what it was capable of. And again, it was just a whole lot of fun to watch.
15 interviews this week. And somebody was asking me the other day, it was like, we weren't reinventing the wheel. It wasn't like we had Andy Kotelnicki back there making calls and how do I get so-and-so the ball? How do I do this? It was just straight vanilla, but you knew where it was going. I mean, you could probably watch the game and be like, here comes the pitch.
Yeah.
Here comes the toss. Here comes the sweep to the left side. You knew how we lined up, what we were going to do, and the defense knew it too, but none of us got beat on a one, all it takes in offense is one guy to get beat, and then the play blows up. Well, so that's our thing. If you get 11 guys making the right play and doing their job, you're unstoppable.
And that's the thing. If you go just player by player, like, I mean, that offensive line, all guys that, if healthy, would have been in the NFL really. That was an offensive line, every one of them. Kyle Brady, again, on the short list of great tight ends in the history of the game, not just a Penn State.
I agree with that.
Kerry Collins, as a college quarterback, as good as there was, certainly that season.
In the NFL, he retired as the 10th most yardage in the history of the game when he retired.
He had a very underrated.
Exactly.
I'm not saying it was a Hall of Fame career.
No,
it wasn't.
He won't tell you.
It was a good and long NFL career for a quarterback. He carved out a very nice living for himself. And then, Freddie Scott and Bobby Engram was through the roof good.
Yep.
Obviously, Kajana Carter. Again, you just go through by position. It's like either legendary, like one of the all-time greats, or certainly that season about as good as it was, position by position, at every position. It's
Think
like,
about
that's
running backs were
pretty good recipe
Carter,
for
Mike
success.
Archie, and Stephen Pitts. That's 3 Division I starting quarterbacks in my running backs in my opinion.
Tailbacks, yeah.
Then you got these fullbacks, just absolute savages, and John Whitman and Brian Milton.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about Brian Milton is 270 pounds, and they could run. And then Whitman is just absolutely, as Brenton called him, he goes, he was the bus driver, because when he was blocking for Jerome Bettis, that's what they used to call Whitman out in Pittsburgh, was the bus driver, because he was, wherever the bus went, he was following, he was leading them.
Yeah. Real quick, no soccer game Friday night. Field hockey is home Friday afternoon at 4.
Okay.
Men's soccer is off this weekend, and the women will play at Iowa on Thursday night. Excuse me. So, but homecoming week, we'll talk certainly more about that 94 team and all of the exploits of it. And again, just the way things develop, because to me, no question that team should have had a share of the national title.
I started this earlier.
Not just the New York Times title, by the way.
Somebody said it on social media. That's what I started saying it earlier, and I got off of it. But somebody said, wouldn't it be great if Penn State says, you know what, we're declaring 1994 a national title right now? How do you go about doing that?
I mean, the thing. So I have.
You told me we're in the record book.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings on that, because then it's like, well.
Then
like Minnesota,
69.
well, it's not even that. Yes, there is that part too. But does that? I mean, I guess maybe it would mean something to you guys. Like it just you can walk around like the Carolina Panthers can walk around and say, "Hey, we were Super Bowl champions this year." So, well, no, you weren't. Well, no, we can, but we're saying we are. Like it has the same impact. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, Penn State.
The year Auburn went
nobody else
undefeated with Terry Boughton, and they couldn't play in a bowl game, right? Or they did play in a bowl game. They went undefeated, just like us. They claim that as a national title for themselves.
Central Florida, the year. But again, does the rest of the country just kind of laugh at that? Doesn't matter, I guess, what the rest of the country does. I don't know. I mean, it's not. It has no significance above and beyond. Again, maybe it'd be nice for you guys to be recognized by your school at least. Hey, we do know what actually went down there.
I think they should put us for national title rings. But, I mean, in my personal opinion is, guys, come on out here.
I'd be all right with
come on out here after the first quarter. So we're in between the first and second quarter getting announced. So now I'm thinking to myself, I was like, I think we're just going to get announced as a team. Then I was like, is homecoming the best time to do something like this? Because you have the alumni band, the homecoming court, all this stuff. So we're only being introduced between the first and second quarter. There's not a halftime thing, and I don't think there's enough time to have like 75 guys. But it is the right
time in terms of
because of who we're playing.
The importance
of the Illinois game that season.
But also it's homecoming. I mean, yes, that's an added impact. But I mean, this is when you should be recognized. Like to me, homecoming weekend should be, if you have a team like this.
Because somebody says, "Oh, you should do it Penn State," or I'm like.
No, I think this is the right. I didn't realize. So it's between the first and second.
I didn't realize until I read the actual note the other day. And I guess
that makes
There's a
stats.
lot
It's
going
like,
on. I mean, they're having the homecoming court. I'm sure they have the other the branch
No,
campuses.
yeah. I hadn't really. Yeah.
So-
But it's the right weekend to do it, both Illinois and the homecoming.
Yep. And Penn
I
State,
think.
they're doing
and
it
the
right.
fact
They're
that it's
having
a night game. I mean, at least you're going to have a full house that's going to be recognizing you, whereas Kent State,
people could be.
I know they announced whatever it was, 107,000. I don't think there were.
Well, they sold 107,000 tickets for
in
sure.
the stands. Yes. All right, that's going to wrap things up for today. We will be back on Thursday. Until then, be good.
Coast into fall. Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning Lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Haw-Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Haw-Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Haw-Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.